Zoo Tiles Hime. This is a starter set for a new game in which you will place tiles in the play area, creating different combinations. These tiles represent anime girls with animal traits. So we got the horse, the dog, the pig, the rabbit, the ram, for example. And you will place these tiles to create combinations that will score you points. A game will be won by the first player to collect 12 points, and to collect points, you will collect tiles and place them in your scoring pile. First player to have, again, 12 points wins the game. Some of these tiles will attack each other, will trigger battles, and when you eliminate a tile of an opponent in a battle, you take it in your scoring pile, and that's 1 point. You will also score 4 points if you create a square of 4 compatible animals. We'll see what that means, but then you remove those 4 tiles and you place them in your scoring pile, and that's 4 points. So really creating these squares is the best way of scoring points during the game. Now, it's unclear to me 100%. I know this game, they want it to be expandable, it's a starter set, but I'm not sure if the plan is to have it as a collectible card game, but with tiles, like in Magic the Gathering, where you can mix and match tiles to create any combination of different animals and game effects. Or if it's going to be a model more like the living card game, but with tiles, in which it comes with fixed sets. Unless this set is the model of the living card game, meaning you have these 2 sets of animals and that's it. A player controls one, the other player controls the other, and that's all that there is. And you shuffle your 40 tiles, just to give you a sense of the art. It looks really cute. Again, some of these tiles represent animals. They have strength and intelligence. Other represents a different kind of game effects. Some are items. They still have a strength and intelligence, meaning the opponent needs to attack them in battle if they want to remove them from the battlefield. Then you have actions. That simply, when you play them, you do what they say. And then other tiles are reactions, and other tiles are action/reaction. This, for example, is an action-reaction, and it can be played as either. Other tiles are only reactions. We have obstacles that work just like items, mean they have a value for strength and intelligence. But, and again, they need to be attacked if you want to remove them from there. And you can pause and read some of these effects if you want. And some can be pretty elaborate, like this one is a fairly elaborate effects. So these are the animals that you saw for one side with the pig, the rabbit, and the ram. This other side has horse, tiger, and dog. Let's see if I can find a dog. Should be able to. Tiger, which has 2 flavors, with the happy tiger, which can only be played if you evolve it from the regular grumpy tiger, becomes a happy tiger, and is compatible with a lot of things. So there you go, dog. So, creatures have strength and intelligence, and so do items and obstacles, and they have some symbols around them that represents the compatibility, and that is what we were talking about earlier. If you form a square of 4 compatible animals compatible with one another, that scores you 4 points. For example, the dog is compatible with the horse and vice versa. The tiger is compatible with the horse, so it's good there. And the horse is compatible with the tiger and with the dog. That would be a square of compatible animals. The player that places the tile to complete that square simply collects these 4 tiles and places them in their personal scoring pile. Again, that's pretty big. That's pretty big. Now, the game comes with a sort of action point, action-based system. So you have a pretty flexible turn structure. Players will alternate taking turns, and when you take your turn, you can do any and all of these actions. I must point out, again, this is a starter set, first edition, first printing. The rulebook is not super well organized, super clear. There are things that I found pretty confusing. I had to write to the designer, who then kind of explained those things to me. And even then, just the information is not relayed in this most linear way. But here you got a good summary of what you can do. So you will have your hand of tiles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, for example. And what you can do, once per turn, you can place a tile in the play area, a tile that has a strength and intelligence value. The first tile is placed simply there in the play area. Later tiles need to be adjacent to another tile in play. And they're placed oriented towards the player who controls them. There may be later game effects, they change control, and then you mark that way. So that would be the first tile was played, and then later another player plays that tile. But again, during a turn, you can play a tile that has strength and intelligence. If you have an action, you can play it, but it's not resolved right away. This is called starting an action stack. That is, you play an action face up, and you say start an action stack. If the opponent has a reaction in their hand, they can play it on top of it. Say, no, I don't have it. Maybe they have a reaction, but they don't want to play it. If they have a reaction, they want to play it, then they can place it on top. If the player that started the action decides to play a reaction, you put it on top again. And then when players are done playing reactions, you simply resolve the stack going from the top to bottom. This almost never happens. I still have not seen that happen very often, because you may have an action and I don't have any reactions, or I do have it, but it's not a reaction that makes sense to play right now, and so I don't. Matter of fact, 99% of the times if somebody plays an action and starts an action stack, it means play an action. So in any case, if it happens you have a reaction stack, then you do it that way. And every tile in there is resolved, simply resolving the effect. Another thing that you can do is to start a second action stack, which again simply means play a second action. You can decide to discard 2 tiles to draw a new tile. You will also get a tile at the end of the round. You get an extra tile if you decide to skip reactions entirely, so it's very important to have tiles. And most important, you can start a battle. Now, starting a battle works like so. The player whose turn it is decides to display whose turn it is, and suppose is the rabbit player, declares an attacker and a defender. So, okay, I'm attacking there. Then both players can declare allies that will be added to the battle. The allies need to be adjacent to the defender. It doesn't matter if they are next to the attacker. Also in this game, adjacent only comes orthogonally, never diagonally. So the rabbit is attacking the tiger, and I say, and I'm using this one as an ally. If the player controlling the tiger had creatures here, they could also decide to add them to the battle. If I had more people here, I can add them to the attack. Once all is said and done, then the player who declared the attack plays a tile face down as a cost to start the battle, and also that basically starts a battle stack, which simply means the opponent may decide to play reactions to that, and the attacker reactions to the reaction. Again, what if I don't have reactions, or I don't have reactions that influence that battle? And so we're going through this action stack, which is called a battle stack. Again, the only difference that the bottom tile is never revealed, is simply discarded as a cost. Once that is said and done, we look at the battlefield, because they may have changed. Maybe animals were moved, they left, something like that. But at that point, we check and see if the coalition of the attacker and its allies have both a higher strength and intelligence than the coalition of defenders, or vice versa. So if the situation was here right now, that was not so good, because the 2 rabbits, they only have a strength of 2 combined, which is not enough to exceed the strength of the tiger. But suppose there are game effects and the 2 rabbits have a strength of 7, and so their strength is higher than that of the defender. Their intelligence, 3 and 3, 6, is higher than that of the tiger. So basically, if one of the 2 coalitions has both higher strength and intelligence than the other, the target animal is removed and added to a scoring pile. So that's pretty much the general idea. You're going to play tiles, forming those squares, trying to attack the opponent, especially to prevent them from forming squares. And the first player to collect 12 points wins the game. Now, I played the game with two different friends, both fairly serious, committed players, and at the end, I swear, independently, two different events, they independently said, well, this game is cute. They both had the same reaction independently, which incidentally is what I was thinking. This game is cute. And at least when it comes to me, I mean that in two ways. First, the art is very cute, and that's a good thing. Nothing against cute art. The art is cute. Unfortunately, gameplay is also cute, which is not as much of a compliment, meaning it's nice and cute to have the idea that from time to time I play a horse and then I play an action that moves the horse. Or from time to time I activate some of these effects. Unfortunately, that doesn't happen often enough for the game to be really rewarding. Maybe this will become more relevant later if people will be allowed to build their stacks or to build their pool of tiles. As things are right now, there is simply so much randomness in the lack of the draw that you may have effects that actions that only target rams. And you don't have any ram. Then you have to keep drawing cards to hope to get more rams. Very often the actions don't match what you have in your hand to trigger them. Very often do not apply to the situation, have reactions, but there's never an action that it's worth playing the reaction to. Again, it's cute when it works, that I play a horse and then I play an effect that moves the horse. But it happens to be in a situation where the horse goes somewhere where I need them to go. Because maybe it's in a place where I have that effect that moves the horse, but my horses are fine where they are. So this is kind of the problem. The game feels very situational. The actions and reactions feel incredibly situational and just many times do not match what you have in hand. So you don't get to play them. I mean, when I read the rulebook about the action-reaction system, it made me think of Nightfall, which was a game that had something similar, where cards were played, and then they were resolved in opposite order. Everybody could play those cards, and that happened all the time, and creating those changes and resolving them was really fun and exciting. It just doesn't happen here very often, and so that kind of like... that kind of is a problem that makes the game a lot less interesting than it could. I'm just placing a couple of random tiles there so that the image looks a little nicer. So since the actions and reactions don't really come into play as much as one would, and it's when the allies are in place, it's very easy to discourage your opponent from attacking. What seemed to be a game with a lot of possible things that you could do ended up being a game in which I was just hoping to get compatible animals that I could put in a square and bring the square home. I found myself attacking mainly to try to prevent the opponent from getting a square, and that often did not work because the opponent has already 3 of their animals in play, and I'm gonna 3 of the animals in play, and I play one in there just to stop them. Well, they are going to have at least 2 animals ready to attack me, so chances are I'm going to get destroyed there. So once 3 animals that are compatible with one another in there, it becomes harder to stop that, and you're thinking maybe it's just worth if I build another square somewhere else. So again, what appeared to be a game, sure light, but with some possibly interesting effect, turned out to be a race to hope to be luckier than the opponent when it came to drawing 4 animals that were compatible with one another. And if you fall behind, especially like an opponent, for example, is able to steal one of your squares, you place 3 of them, and they place an animal there and they take it, then it's very hard to come back because, again, they're going to make squares before you. So, gameplay is cute in the sense that, unfortunately, it does not go over the level of, let's see what happens. Kind of like Munchkin, honestly. That's a kind of degree of commitment to strategy that I found I had as I was playing the game. It's okay. I was just there to see what happens, to see these little interesting characters do funny things. But as for gameplay, unfortunately, it wasn't very interesting. Just too much luck, not enough interesting decisions, not other strategy, even when it comes to a light game. Again, maybe later players will be able to create their own stacks and it can match my actions and my characters better, then there would be more interesting decisions. But as of now, alas, it feels that the luck of the draw drives gameplay almost entirely, and because of that, again, gameplay cannot, in my opinion, go past the level of cute.